How long? How long has the African American race been struggling? Since 1619, African Americans have been treated unequally, from the day we were brought over to Jamestown, Virginia, to this very moment. We were slaves, property, not even people through the Revolutionary War, the same war where the Declaration of Independence was written and stated that all men are created equal. Even then we weren't considered human beings. All the way until the end of the Civil War. Then we fought for our civil rights. Rights that everyone else already had. Rights that most people in the United States were already given. It has been over 300 years since that first ship, and here we are today, still struggling. There are still racial injustices facing African Americans today, and there are many examples. Number 1, Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was born on February 5th of 1995. He was a 17-year-old high school student who lived in Miami, Florida. On his way to visit his father on February 26th of 2012, he was seen by volunteer neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman. Zimmerman reports a suspicious person and is instructed not to approach. Zimmerman disregards his orders, and later on neighbors report hearing gunfire. The watchman claims that it was self-defense, yet there was no deadly weapon or force used by Trayvon Martin. 4 months later, Zimmerman is acquitted of his crimes. Number 2, Alfred Wright. Alfred Wright disappeared on November 7th of 2013. His parents went to pick him up at a liquor store after his truck broke down, but when they arrived, he wasn't there. 2 weeks later, the sheriff told his family that he'd exhausted his resources and funds searching for Wright. A week later, on November 25th, Alfred's family found his body. When found, his body was injected with methamphetamine, cocaine, and the antidepressant Xanax. Authorities say he died of drug overdose, but his family suspected that there was more going on. They accused the authorities of not doing enough to investigate the potential of homicide. Number 3, Renisha McBride. Renisha McBride was an African-American woman. It was November 2nd of 2013 when she got into a car accident. She walked into 55-year-old Theodore Waters' neighborhood of Dearborn Heights in Michigan, Detroit, and knocked on his door. Waters stated that he shot McBride out of fear for his life when she banged on the door. Waters was found guilty of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and unlawful use of a gun. The problem is that he was only sentenced under the guidelines of manslaughter. Number 4, Aiyana Jones. This little girl was only 7 years old when she was shot and killed during a police drug raid in 2010. Police officer Joseph Weekly claims that he fired his gun during a confrontation with Aiyana's grandmother, Martilla Jones. Martilla denies these claims. During the trial in the summer of 2013, no verdict was reached, and so far a retrial has been canceled. Number 5, Michael Brown. On August 9th of 2014, Michael Brown, an 18-year-old unarmed African-American teenager, was shot and killed. Shortly before this, Brown is suspected of shoplifting cigarillos from a gas station and leaving with his friend Dorian Johnson. Later they are confronted by a Ferguson police officer and told to get out of the street. Then, there is a physical struggle between Michael and Officer Wilson. Soon the officer's gun goes off. Michael turns and runs while Wilson proceeds to shoot at him. Brown turns around with his hands up, and the officer continues to shoot until Michael drops to the ground. Officer Darren Wilson is taken to trial, but in the end he is cleared by the Justice Department of all civil rights violations. After this event, the people of Ferguson, Missouri are outraged. Riots and violent protests are going on constantly. But nothing is changing. The dictionary definition of tolerance is the willingness to accept feelings, habits, or beliefs that differ from your own. Tolerance is acceptance. Acceptance is something that we still don't have. After over 300 years of fighting, struggling, and losing our lives, we still don't have equality. The other definition of tolerance is the capacity to endure pain or hardship, and that's something we've been able to do for a long time. So why stop? African Americans still face social injustices today. Rioting and violently protesting is doing nothing for us. So the question is, what are we going to do about it?